What's up guys, and welcome back to another predictions video for week 2 of the Super Rugby tournament. It is going to be one hell of a weekend of Super Rugby, and why? Because New Zealand, Japan and Australia are joining this tournament. Last week it was just South African teams and the Jaguars, so it's definitely going to be an exciting tournament, because now Super Rugby for me is officially starting when the teams of the Southern Hemisphere play each other, and man alive, it's going to be exciting stuff. Obviously, as we know, New Zealand pretty much dominated the tournament last year. South Africa had their moments, but fortunately the teams were looking weak. Besides the Lions, Australia could have had a better tournament, but didn't. They were also quite poor. So I'm hoping for a bigger performance from the Aussies and more of a strength within the teams. And then obviously the Sunwolves, hopefully getting a win here and there for them. So, first fixtures of the weekend, let's get to it. Right, so the two fixtures we have on Friday are Highlanders versus the Blues, and then Reds versus Rebels. Now, Highlanders Blues, this is going to be a tough game. Both are phenomenal teams, really talented, great players within both teams. The Blues were the weaker New Zealand team last year, but they were still stronger than majority of the teams in the Super Rugby, and that just shows the dominance once again of New Zealand rugby. So it's going to be a tight game. I think the Blues are going to give the Highlanders a little bit of a fight, but for me personally, I see the Highlanders winning this one. It's going to be a close scoring game, but I'm predicting Highlanders to beat the Blues. Rebels versus Reds, they're playing in Melbourne, or at their stadium. It's going to be it will be a tight game. I think the Rebels will be wanting to prove critics wrong. I think a lot of the critics, myself included, are saying rather they should have been left out than the Western Force, because Western Force was stronger, etc, etc, in my personal opinion. So they're going to be wanting to prove a point. The Reds haven't been the same really since they actually won the championship those many years ago. So for me, they'll also be wanting to prove a point and showing that they can play just as well as any other Australian team out there. But for me personally, I see the Reds winning that one. It's going to be a tough game, but definite Reds win for me on that one. Then we get into Saturday's fixtures, bright and early South African time at 6 AM. Sunwolves versus Brumbies. As I said, Sunwolves had their sparks, but they are one of the weaker teams. If we look at the Brumbies, they could have had a better season last year, in my personal opinion, but they were obviously the strongest Australian team last year. So for me personally, I'm predicting a strong Brumbies win for that one. It's going to be, I think the Sunwolves will give them a little bit of a fight at the start, but Australia will play a full 80-minute game and will dominate, in my opinion. Crusaders Chiefs, this is the match of the weekend. Two of the strongest New Zealand teams out there. Obviously, all New Zealand teams are strong, but these are two great teams. Crusaders defending champions, Chiefs are there and thereabout. They're right up there with all the other teams. So it's going to be a hard-fought, typical, great, exciting derby. I'm excited to watch that one. For me, if I have to go in predictions, I'm going to predict the Crusaders winning, just because of the momentum of winning the cup, coming in. I think it's going to be very close. It will be a low-scoring, low score between the two, so maybe a 3-5 point win, but it's going to be tough. Who knows, we could see a surprise, so I'm not counting those out, but I see Crusaders winning that one. Then we get to Waratahs versus the Stormers. Now, Stormers had a cage weekend last week. They started off well. It was good to see a running performance from them, but for me, they slacked a bit at the end when the Jaguars just seemed to come back a bit. To me, they should have beaten them more. But also, I can't forget that the Stormers have got quite a number of injuries in their team, so they have their issues as well. Waratahs are a great team. They're my favourite Australian team. I enjoy watching them play rugby. Tough bunch. Also didn't have the greatest year last year, so I'm expecting big things from them this year. And again, hard-fought rugby, tough rugby, Australian rugby that we know. Australia was on the rise towards the end of the year, so I expect to see the same in the Super Rugby. So for me, Waratahs versus Stormers. I know I'm South African. I should go for the Stormers, but just with the injuries in place and all that stuff, I personally see the Waratahs picking up a win. It's going to be close, but just home advantage. And judging from what I saw last week, yes, Stormers are looking good, but I think they can be better, and obviously injuries are a problem. So I'm going Waratahs to win that one. Then we get to South Africa, and it's Lions versus the Jaguars. This is going to be an interesting game, just because what I said last week, or just now, about the Jaguars coming back a bit. Can they come back against the Lions? We'll have to wait and see. Lions had a good game against the Sharks. Their defence was immaculate. They were just looking strong, and they're about... yeah, there's not much you could say. They're the best team in South Africa for a reason, and I'd just expect them to dominate this one. We saw a comeback from the Jaguars, but I just see a bigger score margin between the Lions and the Jaguars, and convincingly, well, let's say by 8 or more points, the Lions, I predict, to beat the Jaguars. Then the final game of the weekend, the Bulls versus the Hurricanes. This is going to be an interesting game, and why I say interesting is because the Bulls' first game under John, first competitive game under John Mitchell. We know his experience as a coach. He's had his moments of greatness. He's also had his moments of issues, which I've heard a lot from when he coached New Zealand. He had a stint with the Lions. He maybe did some good things there, but there was a lot of fight, and the camp wasn't happy, as far as I heard from rumours. So it will be interesting to see. I enjoy hearing John Mitchell talk on SuperSport. He's got a lot of knowledge of the game, and he's definitely passionate about the sport. So I'm curious to see how he sets up the Bulls. Hurricanes, on the other hand, are a phenomenal team. Probably the second best team in New Zealand, close to the Chiefs. I see them just going full force, typical New Zealand rugby, going to dominate and playing a full set of games. It will be interesting to see the Bulls' fitness levels, because I'm telling you now, the New Zealanders are going to play a full 85 minutes, I'm going to say. So it's going to be interesting for that one. Loftus, home advantage for the Bulls, but personally, first game, but against a very, very tough New Zealand team, I honestly see the Hurricanes winning this one, just because I feel they're a better team, more developed, more experienced. Bulls are on the rise, but to me they're not there just yet. Prove me wrong. I hope the South African teams prove me wrong. So Stormers and Bulls, prove me wrong, guys. But for me personally, I see Hurricanes beating the Bulls this weekend. And that's going to do it for this week's fixtures. My team, the Sharks, are on a bye. I'm excited to see how this weekend plays out. Let me know in the comment section down below who you think is going to win out of those fixtures. It's going to be a humdinger of a weekend of rugby. We have Six Nations, we have Super Rugby. It's rugby coming out of our ears, guys. So make sure you are tuned in to this channel, subscribe, because I'm going to be doing recap videos on Sunday and Monday of the Six Nations and the Super Rugby. So make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss out on that, and also hit that bell icon as well, so you can get all my notifications for when I upload content. So that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please hit that thumbs up button if you did, and if you haven't already, as I just mentioned, subscribe to this channel. So much more content to come, and help me reach my goal of getting 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.